Mindfulness is often described as being fully present, but presence, in its truest form, is not just about stillness. It's about becoming deeply intimate with all the hidden parts of ourselves, our fears, our desires, our projections, and even our shadows. Today, we're diving into the profound wisdom of Carl Gustav Jung, one of the most influential psychologists of the 20th century. While Jung never used the word mindfulness in the way we understand it today, his work was deeply rooted in its essence: awareness without judgment, presence with the unconscious, and the path of inner integration. So what can Jung teach us about mindfulness? Much more than we might expect. Let's begin with a brief exploration of mindfulness itself. Mindfulness, at its core, is the ability to bring one's full attention to the present moment, with openness and non-judgment. It's the practice of observing thoughts, emotions, and sensations without becoming entangled in them. In modern psychology, mindfulness is often secularized, used for stress reduction, anxiety, and performance enhancement. But its roots lie in deep spiritual traditions like Buddhism, where it is not just a mental exercise, but a doorway to liberation. Carl Jung, while trained in Western medical psychology, approached the psyche in a way that harmonized with these ancient truths. He believed that to heal and become whole, one must turn inward, not just to control thoughts, but to encounter the unconscious, the hidden parts of the self. This meeting point between Jungian depth psychology and traditional mindfulness offers a radical invitation to see not only what is happening now, but who we are beyond the surface. Carl Jung taught that the human mind is composed of several layers, like an iceberg. What we call the conscious mind is just the tip above water, our everyday thoughts, identity, and ego. Beneath this lies the vast personal unconscious, forgotten memories, repressed emotions, and experiences not yet integrated. And deeper still, Jung proposed the collective unconscious, a layer of inherited memory, universal archetypes, and symbolic energies shared by all human beings. To be mindful, then, is not only to watch our thoughts in the present moment, but to become aware of the deeper forces that shape them. Jung believed that many of our thoughts, reactions, and compulsions are not truly ours. They are shaped by unconscious forces, childhood traumas, ancestral memories, cultural archetypes. Mindfulness, in the Jungian sense, is not passive observation, it is active self-confrontation. It's the courage to ask, why did I react that way? What is this emotion truly trying to reveal? What part of me remains unseen? This is the beginning of what Jung called individuation, the process of becoming whole by integrating all parts of the psyche. One of Jung's most profound contributions to psychology and to the practice of mindfulness is the concept of the shadow. The shadow is everything within us that we reject, deny, or are unaware of. It includes what society deems negative: anger, jealousy, pride, but also hidden gifts, potentials, and desires. For Jung, the shadow is not evil, it is simply unconscious. Mindfulness, in this context, becomes a radical practice of seeing the shadow rather than suppressing it. Instead of labeling emotions as good or bad, the mindful path invites us to welcome them all as teachers. Imagine sitting in meditation and suddenly a wave of rage surfaces. The typical response might be to push it away. But Jung would encourage us to pause, look, and listen. Where does this rage come from? Is it my own, or something I inherited? What does it reveal about my unmet needs or boundaries? By bringing presence to the shadow, we begin to reclaim parts of ourselves. This integration leads to greater self-awareness, emotional intelligence, and inner peace. Jung wrote, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." So true mindfulness, according to Jung, is not just watching our breath, it's watching the entire inner drama of the soul unfold with honesty and compassion. Another key teaching from Jung is the idea of archetypes, universal patterns and symbols that live within the collective unconscious. These include figures like the hero, the mother, the trickster, the wise old man, the shadow, and the self. These archetypes, appear in myths, dreams, fairy tales, and in our own inner worlds. Mindfulness, when practiced deeply, allows us to notice which archetypes are currently active in our lives. Are we playing the victim, Are we stuck in the wounded child? Are we ready to embody the inner sage? By watching the roles we unconsciously play, we begin to loosen their grip. This is a subtle but powerful act of liberation. When we are no longer blindly acting out unconscious roles, we begin to move from a place of conscious choice. This, Jung would say, is the foundation of true spiritual growth. Jung also spoke of the self, the true center of our being, beyond ego and personality. Mindfulness helps us access this deeper self by peeling away the layers of false identity. Each breath, each moment of attention becomes an invitation to return to who we truly are, not who we were told to be. The process of individuation is central to Jung's work. It is the lifelong journey of becoming who we are meant to be, not as an idea or persona, but as an integrated whole. Mindfulness supports individuation by helping us observe our inner world without judgment, revealing unconscious patterns that need healing, allowing space for reflection and symbolic understanding, and encouraging authenticity and presence. Jung believed that dreams, active imagination, and creative expression were tools to support this journey, and mindfulness, in turn, allows us to listen to the messages from within. In today's fast-paced world, it's easy to forget that we are not just minds, we are souls. Mindfulness can become more than stress relief. It becomes soul work. When we observe our thoughts, we begin to see how much of our inner dialogue is conditioned, how often we are driven by fear, insecurity, or past wounds. This awareness is the first step toward freedom. Through the mindful gaze, we bring light into darkness. And through Jung's lens, we understand that every so-called dark emotion is a call for integration, not suppression. A mindful person in the Jungian sense is not someone who is always calm. They are someone who is aware of their inner storms and no longer controlled by them. They've met their shadow. They've listened to their dreams. They've walked through the inner labyrinth and come out more whole. This is not perfection. This is presence, and it is sacred. Jung believed that symbols were the language of the soul. When we pay attention to dreams, art, and even synchronicities, we begin to see life as meaningful and interconnected. Mindfulness sharpens our perception of symbols. Instead of dismissing a dream, we write it down and reflect. Instead of brushing off a coincidence, we ask what it might mean. Instead of filling every moment with noise, we become still and listen. Silence was sacred to Jung. In silence, the unconscious speaks. He often prescribed solitude and inner listening as medicine for the soul, and here, the connection to mindfulness becomes clear. When we are mindful, we create the internal space needed for the unconscious to rise gently without force. This is where healing happens not by fighting, but by allowing. Jung had a deep respect for Eastern traditions, especially those that emphasized introspection and non-duality. He studied texts like the I Ching, the Tibetan Book of the Dead, and Indian philosophy. He admired how these systems viewed the mind not as something to be conquered, but understood. Though he criticized some aspects of Westerners appropriating Eastern practices without depth, Jung felt that mindfulness, meditation, and introspection were essential tools for healing the Western psyche. In many ways, Jung was a bridge between East and West. He brought spiritual awareness into psychology and invited the scientific mind to embrace the mystery of the soul. Today, as mindfulness becomes more mainstream, returning to Jung's teachings helps us go deeper, to use mindfulness not just for productivity or calm, but for transformation. Carl Jung's legacy is vast, but at its heart is this truth. To become whole, we must become present to all that we are. Mindfulness is not just about being calm, it is about being awake. To our thoughts, yes, but also to our dreams, our wounds, our symbols, our shadows, and our silent knowing. Through Jung, we learn that mindfulness is not a quick fix, but a courageous journey into the depths of the self. Each breath is an invitation to come home, not to who you should be, but to who you already are underneath all the layers. Let Jung's wisdom remind you, your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakens. Stay mindful, stay present, and most of all, stay curious about the mystery within you. Thank you for joining this inner exploration. If you found value in this video, consider subscribing for more mindful reflections and Jungian insights. Until next time, breathe, feel, and become.